Are you a self-storage owner or operator looking for service providers to help at your facility? Well, the Storage Business Owners Alliance, also known as the SBOA, has you covered. The SBOA is a premier online hub for connecting self-storage owners and operators to industry-leading products and service providers. We provide one-stop shopping for your business with exclusive offers to save time and money. At the SBOA, we believe by coming together, we help owners and operators grow revenue, gain purchasing power, reduce expenses, improve efficiencies, and increase profitability. We also offer many resources such as our conferences and Self-Storage Unlock webinars to help self-storage owners and operators gain the knowledge needed to become more competitive in the industry. To become an SBOA member or to find out more information, please visit www.thesboa.com today. We can't wait for you to join the Alliance.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another Self-Storage Unlocked, brought to you by the Storage Business Owners Alliance, better known as the SBOA. My name is Jessica Johnson. I'm the Vice President of the company, and we put these on just about twice a month, so thank you for joining us today. And if you could go ahead in the comment section and put where you are from and your name, we would appreciate it. And if you have questions for our panelists today, hold on a second. I'm so sorry. All my emails going off all at once. If you have questions for our panelists today, please put those in the comment section as well. And before we get started, we have a couple videos to share with you from some of our companies that are participating with us today.
Meet Smart Route, where callers are identified instantly, whether they're leads or current customers, so you can know where the caller is at on their journey the second they ring, helping you to reduce call volume and keep only high-value calls on the line. Meet the Call Script Designer, where you can design the perfect scripts for your callers, choose from various response types, and deeply customize every element that fits your current needs. And when it's time for move-ins, manage them entirely over the phone, from costs to tenant info and payment, all the way to e-sign. Ready for follow-ups? Here you can customize workflows that are tailored directly to your ops. Take the friction out of follow-ups and convert more leads. Everything you need to succeed in one place. Get started today.
Welcome to Swivl, the only conversational AI platform for self-storage. Operators use Swivl's AI assistants to power things like finding locations, searching available inventory, collecting leads, call center deflection, review management, omni-channel communication, and much, much more. Think of Swivl as your virtual property manager. We've spent years fine-tuning our workflows and automated replies, and have the largest, most robust AI dataset in self-storage. Most of our customers are reporting an automation rate of over 80% and conversion rates of over 20%. Worried about the human touch? Fear not. Swivl makes use of human-in-the-loop technology that allows humans to jump in at any time. We're fully invested into the self-storage industry with an integrations list that keeps growing. Automation is the future of self-storage, and with Swivl, you're always open for business.
If I were you, let's say you have 5 properties and you realize, look, I can't staff enough property managers to cover all my hours and not miss opportunities I'm probably going to have in the market. I can't staff enough people to keep all of my tenants happy all the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build my own business development process here for my properties. I'm going to hire, 2, 3, 4 people to cover 100 plus hours a week to make sure we're there for them. I'm going to train them. I'm going to write software to be able to talk to my site management system. I'm going to record calls and do quality assurance on them. I'm going to drive my promotional special. I'm going to do all this here in my central office. If I'm you, the very first thing, once I understood the value of that concept, I would look for somebody to do it for me instead of me doing it myself, because I could never make that a profitable venture. It would never pencil. That's why this company exists. We solve that problem. We are your national sales center.
All right, everyone, we're going to pause for just a brief second. I'm getting a bunch of emails from some of our viewers that they're having issues with the link. So give me 1 second while we work through this on the back end, and we'll be live here in just a moment. Okay, and we're back. So sorry about that. I have people now saying they're able to view. Listen, we're talking about technology today. What a day to have a tech issue. But we love technology regardless of tech issues or not. And it's going to happen, right? These are machines. And just listen, people's bodies can break down too. You can get sick. So it's all relative. But anyway, I'm going to bring up our guest and then we are going to dive in. We've got a jam-packed session for you today, so I don't want to waste any more time. So my first guest is one of my good friends. Hello, Holly.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Jess, and everybody. I am Holly Fiorello, the Vice President of Marketing for CallPotential. I have been in the self-storage industry now for, 11 years, if you can believe it or not. And CallPotential is a communication platform for the self-storage industry. We have automation and smart routing capabilities and love technology. So thanks, Jess.
Thanks for being here, Holly. All right. And next up, I have Mr. Mason from over at the swivl.ai. Is that the new name, Mason? It's not just Swivl anymore?
We've always had the domain swivl.ai.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Well, tell me about you and Swivl.
Yes, Mason, CEO, co-founder of Swivl. We are a conversational AI platform for self-storage operators, helping automate all the different touch points throughout a customer journey.
Yeah, I love this technology. Hopefully Mason can talk more about it with us as we go through the webinar. We have some really good tech providers here with us today. So thanks for being here today, Mason.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And next up, I have Mr. John Loftin. Many of you probably know him. He's been around for a while. Hi, John.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us about you.
John Loftin. I've probably been in the industry longer than everybody combined, probably close to 30 years. So I'm Senior Vice President of Product for OpenTech Alliance, and OpenTech Alliance do a lot of technology for self-storage, from access control to call centers to kiosks to storage treasures online. So a lot of technology to be able to help operators rent more units.
Which is what we love, right, John? We want rentals. We want lots of rentals. So
Everybody
thanks.
wants to rent more units.
Everybody does. And if anybody says they're 100% full, we'll have a different discussion at a different time. Thanks for being here, John. All right. Next up, I have Miss Sherry Miller from over at XPS. Hey, Sherry.
Good morning. Yes, I'm Sherry Miller. I've been in the industry for a little over 3.5 years. I work with XPS Solutions, and we offer call center services exclusively for the self-storage industry and assist with remote management as well.
Awesome. Thanks for being here today, Sherry. All right. I'm going to bring everyone up, and we are going to kick this off. And it looks like people are still joining us. So if I get sidetracked and I'm looking around, it's because people are emailing me to get into this. So let's just first kick this off about, we talked about one of the easiest ways to avoid delinquencies, and that is by having people on autopay. So anyone want to take the floor on talking about the importance of autopay?
I'll hop in. We have found that on average, those who are on autopay stay an average of 24 months, and also are less resistant to price increases, and then also asked to have their late fee waived. So that's been a benefit. If they're on autopay, they don't have a late fee.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best things, right? And we hope that people are able to enroll in autopay. And I'm going to ask the audience a question, and you can put these responses in the comment section. Are most of you pushing your tenants towards autopay, or are you letting them pay in whatever format they say they're most comfortable with? So, Holly, since we're still with you, let's talk about some of the products that CallPotential has and the call center routing attributes and how you can tell who's calling and how that will help them through this process.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things, when I said we're a communication platform, we're really a call center software for you to run your business, and also works with the other call center software or call center providers on this call. So basically what the software does, it identifies through your property management software whether or not the caller is a current customer. And if they're up to date on their rent or past due on their rent. If they are past due on their rent, our system sends them directly to a pay by phone option and alleviates the call traffic that would go traditionally to a manager. That is one of the things that we do. We also have automated past due rent reminders, which based on the delinquency status of a customer is proactively sent out. So again, that's one of the biggest things that managers do in their day-to-day is follow up on people who need to pay the rent to get that cash flow up. Using automation, 100% done in the background. You don't have to worry about if that's on their list. So really, managers think that this solution is their best friend and makes their lives a little bit easier. So it's everyone's favorite. It's my favorite too.
Yeah. And while we're on that topic, I'm going to ask the audience another question, if you can put it in here. How many of you are tasking your managers with collection calls? And do you have a lot of collection calls that you're doing each month? And if so, this is like a 3-part question. If you were to estimate each week, how long is that taking your staff to do? So, hey, John, I'm going to go over to you because you have some cool solutions over at OpenTech. Let's start with your kiosk solution and how this can help with delinquencies.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Auto pay. I think everybody's pushing or like to get people to auto pay, but if you watch the news or anything like that, people are getting tired of subscriptions. So there's actually tech to help you, cancel your Netflix and things like that. And if I think about the average kind of self-storage customer, a lot of them are underbanked, so they don't, their only credit card is a debit card, and they're a little hesitant about that. So I think, being able to meet the customer or take the customer's money wherever, however they want to, whether that's online or auto pay, I think is important. But, with one of the products that OpenTech has is a kiosk, and, we call it a full service kiosk. So the tenant, can self-service, or they can press a button and get a live video, kind of like what we're doing right here to help them. But what we saw in our white paper from 2022 is that about 25% of all payments at kiosks were with cash. So it's just really interesting, the number of people that are still paying cash. I know that some states are looking at laws to say you got to take cash. So we all want them on auto pay, but sometimes our customers don't necessarily want to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I also like too, John, when we were having our discussion prior to this, with the kiosk option, you're saying, like they could literally come there after hours and not even have to interact with somebody to transact and make that payment, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about, what a manager does day in and day out, a lot of managers I've spoken to, they're only physically in the office 4 hours a day because they're doing block checks and maintenance and all that type of stuff. So when customers come up to the property and they want to pay or they want to rent, how are you going to be able to service them? You could have them go online, or with kiosks, they can do it themselves when they're there, or again, press a button and get a virtual manager to be able to walk them through, answer all their questions.
Yeah. I'm going to put this comment up from Bobby. I haven't used cash even once this year. Hard to believe anyone would go that route these days. Bobby, I get it. Listen, I travel a lot for work too, and I'm always like, I can't tip the bell guy because I forgot to go to the ATM and get cash. So I'm constantly like, do you have Venmo or Cash App? Yes or no? So, okay, I got to go to the ATM. And then Max is saying too, just so we can get this for reference, the manager makes collection calls on time frames about 1 to 2 hours a week. An overlock day this month, we only had 40 past due. Max, is that good for you guys, bad for you guys, the 40 past due? Because I can't remember how large your facility is. So if you want to pop that in the chat too. So Mason, I'm going to go over to you. For people out there that don't know what Swivl is and what you all provide, give us a brief background on what that is, and then how this can also play into helping, tenants not be delinquent.
Sure. Yeah. So we're a conversational AI platform. You can think of us similar to Siri or Alexa, or the world famous now ChatGPT, utilizing technology under the hood to help streamline your tenant communication. I think one of the things that's kind of a common theme already is kind of all the different touch points that a customer or a potential customer might have with your business. And one of the amazing things about technology is that whenever that customer is most engaged, you can utilize that touch point to try to incentivize them to get into auto pay. So whether that's, a call into the call center, or, they're coming in for that first move in, you've got somebody really engaged during that process. How do you utilize your kiosk solution? How do you utilize signage within your facility to encourage that auto pay touch point, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. Signage is a critical thing too. We just did a mystery shop on a property recently, and they didn't have proper signage in place, and one of the systems was down, and we literally didn't know what else we could do at that point to go rent. So that's very frustrating for a consumer. That's a big barrier, and that's a barrier that if we all know this is a needs-based business. If there's a competitor that's 1 mile down the road and they're not going to have those type of barriers, they're most likely going to go transact with them instead of you. So I would always be checking these systems to make sure that they're working, that they're talking to one another, and that all the integrations are working the way that they're supposed to be working.
Yeah, I think add something there. I think the Self-Storage Association demand study, and I think I got this number right, 60% of all tenants rent from the first facility that they contact. So
Sure.
Having the door locked, not having a way for them to rent can really affect your occupancy.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a big number, right? I mean, they're really not brand loyal in a sense. They're not doing too much shopping. I think they might start shopping around a little bit more with inflation and prices of everything going up. I think they might be a little bit more cost conscious, but I could be wrong. I also believe, and audience, I'll ask all of you this. So Max was saying 40 delinquencies for his facility is about average each month. If you could pop in the chat for us what your delinquencies have looked like recently, and are they increasing? And if they are increasing, has it been a slight increase or a dramatic increase? I think all of the KPIs that we measure right now currently in self-storage, we're seeing slight variations, right? Nothing drastic has happened yet with occupancy or delinquency, but I think it's coming. A lot of you might have entered the industry during the COVID time period and got to ride the really high waves. In fact, historically high waves in the industry, but I think we're all going to come back down to Mother Earth here soon, and it's going to go back to normal. So Sherry, you're laughing. So I'll come over to you. Talk me through the omni-channel process that you all have over at XPS. I know you've got some IVR solutions where that runs, 24/7, mobile app, et cetera. Tell me some of that stuff.
Sure, perfect. Thank you. So we all know demographics matter, and it's a matter of meeting your tenant where they're most comfortable when it comes to issues both inside and outside of your business hours. So offering them different platforms to be able to pay, first of all, is important. They can go to the facility, right? Some people do want to pay cash. John, I was really surprised at how large that number was of people that do want to pay cash. Unfortunately, that doesn't allow us to be able to put everybody on auto pay because there may be some laws against that. However, when people do rent with us, we encourage them to go to the website if they can sign up for auto pay right away to do that. Like Holly said, it just kind of helps prevent that late fee. It keeps the tenant longer. But of course, they can call the facility and make a payment over the phone with us by talking to an agent or talking to the manager at the facility. Or they can go to the website to pay online. Hopefully everybody has that capability these days. They can pay over the phone, making a phone call, or like you said, we have a mobile app. There's mobile apps, the kiosk, giving them different avenues. Some people don't feel comfortable putting their credit card information in. They want to talk to a person to do that. So offering them opportunities to meet them where their need is very important. And like Mason said, educating your tenants on what that process looks like. So if you're talking to them on the phone, let them know all the capabilities you offer, the different avenues that you have to be able to pay. It just makes that a little bit easier. On the other side, being able to track as a manager or facility owner what avenue is being used most. Again, demographics matter. Some people don't want to use a mobile app or a kiosk. They don't feel comfortable with that technology. So talking to a person is where they're comfortable. So being able to track, is it from a call? Is it from a mobile app? Is it through IVR paying by phone? Understanding your tenants is super important as well.
Sherry, and I don't mean to put you on the spot because you might not have this data at your fingertips. With all those different channels, what do you see them using the most? Do you know?
I don't have those numbers. I would guess the IVR would be the highest because we put that up close with us in the phone prompt. So for office and gate hours, press 1. To make a payment or check your balance, press 2. Because we know the average person usually calls 2 to 3 times regarding payments. So they want to see when their payment's due, and then they'll call and make their payment or tell you when they're going to make their payment. So having that up front helps cut down on that call volume, first of all, for the manager, but also gives them the opportunity right away to hear that they can make their payment over the phone.
Gotcha. And Mason, through the chat bot that people can, install, so to say, on their website, it's directing them to help them get to a link to pay, correct? If there's an online option?
Yes, so there's a couple of options, whether it be via voice, web chat, or even Google My Business. We see about 35% across all of our, we have about 3,500 locations utilizing our technology.
Okay.
We see about 35% of those people that engage with our technology asking about managing their account. Now, that's not just auto pay, that's not just delinquents, it's not just payments, it's, somebody wanting to change their billing address, et cetera. We understand the intent. So somebody wanting to make a payment or enroll in auto pay, we'll ask them if we can navigate them, whether they're on the phone, send them a text message, push them over to a pay by phone, or call forwarding link, et cetera. And then on the web, we actually pop the chat back open once we've navigated them to the account login page so that we can continue the conversation and explain to them how to log in, maybe where to navigate once they get into the portal, et cetera, to really complete that payment. And again, we're always kind of encouraging and educating. So somebody that comes in and just says, I want to make a payment, operators have the ability to add on a auto pay reminder. So somebody says, I want to make a payment, we will automatically say, hey, you can also enroll in auto pay to avoid future late fees and whatnot. So you're always having that opportunity to educate along the user journey.
Yeah, and I think that's super critical and important. So you're really just, again, talking about how we just talked about, the signage issue that we ran into. You guys are providing like them clear channels of direction, which, like I keep saying, like the least amount of barriers for the consumer to make this transaction as seamless as possible. Number one, it's good customer service. And number two, they're more likely when they leave to come back and rent with you because you made it so easy for them. So
I
I
was going to say, I was going to echo one thing from Sherry real quick on, because I knew we did these numbers for 2022 and she's right, like spot on. So we basically look at who pays by IVR, who pays by text message, who pays by email. Prior to COVID, email had the highest actual pay rate. Past COVID, IVR is like by far in front of the other payment methods. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then email is, email and live calls are trailing behind. At least for
IVR option is nice too for those that do have delinquencies, because it seems to be a little less awkward. They don't have to talk to anybody. They don't have to explain why their payment was late. They can just go in, call, and make the payment and be done with it.
Well, let me ask you this, and I should know the answer to this question. Do any of your systems do outbound calls to them that would like leave a message or say, if that, like, let's say I'm behind and I answer the phone and it says it's automated. Oh, your payment's past due. Press 1 to pay. Holly keeps shaking her head. Yes.
Yes, we do. That's one of the Sherry again. Sorry, giving her all the brownie points here. We also do an Omni channel, so that's one of the things that we can be scheduled. You can decide if it's a pre-recorded voice calling or if it's someone from your staff that's calling. But basically, just hey, it's Marcy. Just wanted to remind you that your rent is due. Here's how here's how you pay, or call this number to pay, and could go to a pay by phone IVR from that.
Okay. So it goes on the front end before it's due, and then do you have I'm sorry, Mason, I didn't interrupt you, but front end before it's due, and then back end.
You can do it however you want. We prefer and recommend that people do it on the back end so you can get that late fee.
Yeah.
Just
we love late fees.
It's a service, right? It's a convenience. It's a service. So might as well like subsidize that way, and then also give them the opportunity to enroll in auto pay during that process.
Totally. Mason, what were you going to say? So sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
No worries.
Holly mentioned yesterday that when you use technology, they don't have the option of asking you to waive the late fee. So that's a benefit as well.
It's a huge benefit because they will ask, right? Especially if it is their first time, and I can sympathize with the first infraction. But if it's Aunt Susie's 10th time, the 10th month in a row, please be collecting late fees from Aunt Susie for 10 months. Please. Mason, so sorry. We keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
All good. I think a common theme here around omni-channel, like just defining what omni-channel is providing, communications to your tenants or tenants to be, and allowing them to choose how they interact with you, right? And one of the biggest components of having a true omni-channel solution is all the features that you would have going in store and talking to somebody is available through each one of those channels, right? So whether it be through email, text message, a phone call, etc. And I'll combat a little bit. Our technology does do outbound phone calls. It does do outbound text messages, etc. It also allows for somebody to ask can you waive the late fee, because we're actually having a bi-directional conversation with that individual, right? And so, we talked about a little bit of the shopping process. We normally see that a conversation is a little bit more than just a one touch point thing. There's typically 3 or 4 back and forths before you actually understand the problem and can try to resolve that issue as well too.
Got it.
Most of the calls that I get is my auto warranty has expired. I just wonder how many people really are answering those calls. What we've seen really is, with some of our automatic text messaging, where it's integrated with the property management system, you send that out. You get a much higher response rate from that clicking and people able to pay online. Another thing that we have with our access system is if a delinquent tenant comes up to tries to get in the property and they enter in their access code, of course we display a message, but we can also text them a link to pay. So it just makes it that real convenient that they're there. Maybe they didn't know that they were delinquent or hadn't paid. They can just pay right there at the gate and then get in the property.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're right there at the gate, like they're obviously trying to get in and access their stuff. So no better place to have them pay if they haven't paid than right then and there. I'm going to pop it. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, John, do you have any data on what day they're most likely to try to break into their unit when they're past due on their rent?
We do. I don't remember off the hand. We do publish.
I knew you would. That's awesome.
A white paper every year with some of that data. The new one's getting ready to come out, so you can check our website and download it. But it's really interesting to look at the times, the months, and that type of stuff. So
yeah, and just so the audience knows, I cannot remember the date off the top of my head, but it'll be all over the SBOA social and website. I'll be speaking with Christy Adams sometime in April. Christy works with John. She's their chief marketing officer or vice president of marketing. Vice president of marketing over at OpenTech. So Christy and I are going to do a deep dive into all of those analytics and KPIs. Highly suggest you all join that call because there's some really interesting stats that OpenTech collects and sees and puts in this. And the white paper, John's like almost 50 pages long usually.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it is. There's a lot of data, a lot of good information. With our access system being cloud-based, I think before it was really hard to understand how tenants utilize self-storage. So with some of this data, I think we're better able to understand. We've got some large operators really using that data to push rates and figure out how they need to staff their property.
Yeah, any helpful white papers, ebooks, these type of webinars that we do that have those type of stats, business intelligence software. I highly encourage everyone to, utilize that because it just helps you make better business decisions, right? So I'm going to pop up a couple comments. We could talk about these too. So Bobby's saying slight increase in delinquencies, 7% last year, now about 9.5. Okay, and we're only on March 16th, right? So let's see how that continues to creep up. I believe in my heart it's going to. Anyone else echo that? They think it's going to be slight, drastic. What do you guys think?
Yet to be determined if there's another bank run happening, right? But over the weekend we've hit the fan.
Yeah, for sure. And then someone else said, okay, Barry Graff is saying, this fluctuates from store to store, but managers and tools in place. Your manager's your first line of defense, and then the automation and tools are that second line of defense. Sometimes if you're going remote or unmanned, your technology is your first line of defense. So again, making sure you keep, would you guys suggest, if someone's on technology, how often would you suggest that they go in and check the process or audit the process themselves just to make sure that everything is seamless and working?
Well, I don't think it's just about technology. I think if you try to live through that customer journey,
Mm-hmm.
even if you've got a manager, right, and you're not using any technology, the platinum rule, treat people like they want to be treated. But I think if you kind of go through that process, that whole customer journey, whether it's technology or not, I think you'll see and find a lot of room for improvement.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to put this one up here too. This is from Max. Last month, we had our largest auction 2 years. In 2 years, we cut 9 locks, but auctioned 4. So he's seeing some variances there. Audience, if you're seeing any of the same things and you want to pop some comments in the questions and comments in the comment section for us, love to hear from you all. Let's see if I can see.
Yes.
Any more.
I'm gonna pop it back into your court. How often do you think you got the mystery shopping?
Yeah, so the SBOA just started mystery shopping, and if anyone out there wants their property shopped, we are giving away 2 free. We can do phone, web, and in person. And I'll tell you a story of a technology break that we saw recently during a mystery shop. So we went out onto someone's website. We left the cart abandoned on purpose. And, because that should be triggering something within their system that the manager should be calling. I don't know what everyone's preference is out there. Some people say 24 hours. I would want my manager calling and following up on a lead within 30 minutes if it was within like normal business hours, because again, they're going to move on to the next one. I mean, there's no loyalty here, right? They just want to get their stuff put somewhere. And normally there's something, going on in their life. We all say we're self-storage counselors, and it's true because people are coming at a time of need. But anyway, so then as a secondary move, we went to the contact us page and we filled out our contact us information. We did not hear back from that property for 9 days. 9 days later, I'm here to tell you that tenant they've moved in somewhere else. They're good to go. So that's leaving a lot of money on the table. We really haven't started testing anything on like the delinquency side, Holly. It's always about, transacting and getting the rental. But we could totally shop and see what that process would look like. For sure. We have a question here from Bobby. Are there any new overlocks or smart locks on the market to help with delinquency? Yeah. So listen, we have a couple of the tech providers here today. Not all of them, but anyone want to talk on the ones that we know?
Sure. I'll take that. Yeah, there's there's several out there. There's a new one, a new company at the SSA conference. We have one in pilot. There's also, the option with things like DaVinci Lock, which is a combination padlock. We integrate in that with our access and call centers. So, we can automatically text the unlock codes after people pay. So I think that there are a lot of options out there. Talking with lots of operators, my perspective is that the electronic locks are really for operational efficiencies, controlling your vacants and controlling your delinquents. And it's kind of hard to push rates or increase rates. I know some people have been able to, but, it's got to be really cost effective if it's really from an operational perspective. Point of view, but there are some out there, some new ones, including OpenTech.
Awesome.
Hey, John, can you give a little bit of a deeper dive into what the DaVinci Lock does? I love this thing. It's a low tech solution that really is amazing for operators in general because it works really well. So maybe just explain a little bit to the audience what that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, the DaVinci Lock is basically a combo padlock. Kind of looks like a disc lock. Each lock has a serial number on it. So if you put it in, if somebody becomes delinquent, you put that lock on a delinquent unit, you record that you put lock XYZ on unit 100, and then when the tenant pays, you can automatically send them a text message that says, "Here's the combination. Remove it, put it in the drop box, and you can get in." So it really, kind of like electronic locks, it removes that need for a manager to place or to remove, the overlock on the tenant. Of course, with eventually the tenant or the manager still has, they still got to go put the lock on.
And you don't have to replace the batteries either, right?
Yeah, you don't have to replace the batteries. You don't get you don't get alerts, security and things like that, which we are seeing definitely an increase in security incidents at properties.
For sure. John, I don't know, I don't think I heard it in there when you were talking, but did you mention Noki for people out there? Janice has the Noki lock.
Yeah. There's several companies out there that have electronic locks.
Which is great, right? Because I could be sitting in Cancun, Mexico, and my tenant's late, and I can go boop, and they're overlocked, right? And then they pay, and I can go boop, and I could be having margaritas in Cancun while that happens. So that's a pretty nice technology to have, right?
Oh yeah. It again, from that operational efficiencies. Not having to remove on vacants or delinquents can really help.
Yeah. Now, John and Holly, you guys, I think out of the panel, Sherry, I'm not sure how long you've been around in the industry, but I've been around for a minute too. Tell the audience a little bit about what technology used to look like in self-storage and how much it's advanced and how much
technology.
Zero.
I can start kind of with some of the transformation that's happened in the industry.
Yeah, let's hear it.
When I started, we had the mom and pop shop that the manager lived upstairs. And back in the day, that was considered a security feature, right? Because they lived there, their eyes were on the property. That made everybody warm and fuzzy, felt good. Then we transitioned to, hey, we don't have to pay their rent. They can just be a manager and be on call if something happens in the evenings. To, of course, COVID, where everybody had to go home, and all of a sudden we realized, well, do we need a manager at the desk, or is there remote possibilities? So a lot of people, I talk to people all day, every day in sales for XPS that are wanting to go more remote. So now we have, of course, the hybrid model, which is the one in between where it's kind of hub and spoke. They have one manager that works several different properties different times, which is where a call center comes in handy because we can take those calls when they're at other properties. Or they can have one manager taking those calls at different places to fully remote, which technology is fully taken over there. So there's been a huge swing in the industry over the past 20 years from one extreme to another. And there's still people that are in every one of those positions. There's still mom and pop managers live on the facility to, we don't want anybody at the property. We don't need anybody. We have somebody come and do the overlocks and, pick the weeds and do all of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's gone from pen and paper to just a PC to really cloud-based systems. I mean, to Sherry's point, I think using the term unmanned is kind of a misnomer because you're always going to need people,
Always a man.
And to do things like that. But we're seeing a lot more operators using some of this data to figure out when do I really need to staff, and then using technology to supplement. I mean, the person wants to talk to somebody with a kiosk, press a button, and have a conversation just like we are, right now. So the technology is really allowing operators to make sure their managers are doing, the most value producing job, right? Instead of taking cash payments or or doing other things.
So you can take a walk back into time if you find some of these off the grid self-storage facilities, and lots of paper, maybe no computer, post-it notes. If you give them a call, they don't, necessarily greet you with, hi, thank you for calling Holly Self-Storage. It's what? Or thank you for calling the car wash and there's self-storage next to them.
Right.
So
that happens a lot.
and I don't necessarily think it's all technology. I think as an industry, we've matured a ton, right? Like
For sure.
with all the events, and then the generational handing down businesses, some of the, youth kind of coming up. I say youth, but they could be Gen X and boomers now too, kind of taking over the operations and changing it a little bit from how it's always been done. John had a good point on that yesterday on our pre-call. What's the best way to do it? Don't use technology for technology's sake. Don't not use technology because what you've always done has worked. What's the best way to get your results?
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of technology out there too that is like subscription based, and you can have all these different levels, right? But you're like, you could end up with the Ferrari and you only need the Mustang. I say this saying a lot, right? Get what you need and pay for what you need. I mean, yeah, we all want the Ferrari, but sometimes we don't need the Ferrari for what we're doing, Holly, I'll let you give a little shameless plug over there. You were talking about the youth. Tell us to the audience about young leaders. Just
so the Self-Storage Association, hopefully everyone's members. If you are not, check it out. They're a nonprofit organization for the Self-Storage Association, and they lobby for you and create these opportunities for everyone to get together and network. That's why we're all best friends here on this call, is because we have been to many of these events. One of their newer initiatives in the last 8 to 10 years, I believe, is the Young Leaders Group. And that is an organization for members who are 40 and under, to come and have a place to go. So you're not necessarily following your bosses around the floor and not having anything to do. It's a reason to send your juniors. There's education, there's networking. It's a whole membership type situation for people to get involved with the industry and also be kind of groomed to see what the SSA is like. Mm-hmm. It's a little less overwhelming. The room's probably 100, 150. So Jessica has been a part of the Young Leaders Group. And if you're interested in, feel free to give either of us an email, and we can forward it on to the powers that be. So thank you for the plug, Jess.
I got booted. I'm too old now, so I gotta talk to Ginny and Tim about an OLG, the old understanding or something.
I will say that some of the young leaders like meetups and whatnot are some of my favorite times at the SSA. It's really nice to get into a small group of people and have a little bit more of an intimate setting there. So a big positive review from Mason.
Thanks, Mason. That's awesome. And just to kind of preface, John had said he's been in the industry for 30 years. Sherry, I know you've been around, I don't know how many, but probably just as long, if not longer than I have. We see each other every year. These are fantastic opportunities to make friendships, that, to send an email. Hey, what are you seeing with this? In between those shows, it really, I think I can't speak higher about this industry than anything I've ever been a part of before.
Yeah, and like from owner to owner, you should be out there networking, because you might be able to buy somebody's facility from them, because facilities are hard to come by right now. Good deals are hard to come by. So network with the brokers, network with one another. That's the way you can make some of these deals happen for yourself. Hey, John, I want to go to you real quick. Let's say, and this is not a topic about auctions or anything, but like that's the reality, right? If these people keep not paying and they're delinquent every month, and now the delinquencies has increased, it's not 5 or 7 days past due. We're looking more like 30, 45, 60. Talk us through like a little, because, you guys have, you do the auction.
We have storage.com, which is an online auction. I think one of the big benefits of being able to do online auctions, you can auction the people off and get that inventory available. I know somebody posted they had their largest auction ever, 9 auctions. With online auctions, you don't really have to wait. You can do them when they become available, and then free up that inventory to be able to rent. So definitely recommend auctioning people off when you can, depending on your state laws. again, like, go back to the data. We have a lot of data that I'm sure you and Christy will go over on auctions, on timing, days when the auction closed, how long, how many pictures, all of that information. We'll do 50,000 auctions a month, so
Mhm.
a lot of auctions, and that data really can help you, get more money out of the auction. But the main thing really is really just trying to get that unit available so you can re-rent it.
Yeah, and please treat this like a business. And if they are delinquent, and follow your lease, follow your lien laws, but put them through the process. I had an owner the other day say, "I only made $20 on the online auction." I'm like, "Yeah, but you regained a 10 by 10 that you can now rent." So like, what's the bigger ROI for you? The $20 you made on the auction, or getting that 10 by 10 rented? I'm hearing some crazy stats about length of stay. I think still the average might be around 14 months. It might be a little bit longer. I heard the other day, I think Ann over at USG, it's more like 3 years length of stay. And I asked, I said, "Is that business or residential?" And it was residential tenants. So, I mean, they're staying longer. They're more subject to, get delinquent if they're staying longer, if something happens in their life. But definitely get those units recouped. Now, all of you, anyone out there have a sneak peek of maybe some new technology you guys have coming into play that you want to give? You want to dangle a carrot for the audience, or we're not ready for that yet? Let me know.
Hey, Jess, there's so much technology out there. If I could just make a point real quick,
Yeah.
trying to figure out what technology to use can be very difficult because the industry offers so much right now. You can walk into a trade show and be overwhelmed and not even know where to start, right? So
100%.
the roundtables are fantastic because you can learn and then go find those people that you need to talk to. But trying to figure out what technology you specifically need, because the neighbors have it doesn't mean you need it, is trying to narrow down what your top maybe 2 or 3 pain points are. Is it auctions? You have so many delinquencies. Is that something that can be done by somebody else outsourcing? Is it gate issues? Is it your manager's hours and you're missing calls? Is it just time management in general? So trying to figure out what those pain points are is where I would suggest starting as owner operators and managers, what those pain points are, and seeing what solutions are out there from that point on.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll just piggyback on that, Sherry. Look at your data and your inquiries. Are they phone inquiries? Are they walk-in? Are they web? If you're 80% web, you better have a nice, robust website that's working all the time, good load speed, easy to access and get to that, rent now, reserve now button. If it's calls, then you should probably have a call center backing you up for, those off hours, or if you're out touring your property with a potential tenant so they can take those rollover calls. So track all that, if it's a lot of in-person, but you don't want a physical manager there. With John's solution of the kiosk, they can still come rent if they're coming in person. So I love that you brought that up, Sherry, because that is a good point. You don't need all of it, but you need whatever's your data is going to tell you what you need for sure. So you got to look at your data.
Yeah, you got to be able to look at the data. But the one thing that I would say is that make sure that the hardware or the technology that you're looking is made for self-storage. I don't know how many, and there are people in the industry that are just like, taking something off the shelf and reselling it. Make sure that it's designed for self-storage. Self-storage is a unique beast. A call center for a hotel's not going to cut it in self-storage. Same with access control. So make sure the people are invested in the industry and aren't trying to take something from a different industry and make it work in self-storage.
Yeah, and we see that a lot, right? Especially in commercial real estate. They have software in multifamily. They want to try to come bring it into self-storage, or they have software in marinas. They want to try to bring it into self-storage, or vice versa. So yeah, I would say that is an important feature or something to look at. John, anybody want to talk? Mason, I know you guys are like tech gurus. Come on, you got to have something over there that y'all are working on that you can give me like the little I want the tea, Mason. I want the tea.
Yeah, before I talk about some of our new stuff, I'm probably the new kid on the block in general in the self-storage industry with a ton of industry vets here. Young Leaders Group has been really awesome to kind of bring in that intimate setting and whatnot. But I know coming into the industry, it was intimidating trying to understand kind of what the technology landscape looked like. And so, on our website, we've created a podcast, the Self-Storage Lab, as well as a blueprint for the technology. And we break it into all the different segments. So if you're looking for a kiosk provider, you're looking for a payment provider, you're looking for a property management system for the first time, we're trying to hopefully create something that allows for people to go in, take a look at kind of what all their options are, go do their shopping and understand that. Again, being the new kid in the room here, it's helpful for us to understand that landscape, and then also hopefully for operators that are looking to break in. But some new technology, in February alone, we deployed 2 new generative AI models. So these are, models that are based off of like ChatGPT style technology, the large language models. One is an agent assist model, and this is just the beginning of what we're doing in generative AI. Agent Assist allows for your human agents to take over and not have a blank state problem. So when a customer comes in and asks about leasing questions, or maybe it's about delinquencies and late fees, et cetera, the generative AI model will pre-write a response for them. Nice. They obviously need to review and edit this response before they send it out to their customer. These models are not necessarily accurate, but they are very human-like in the way that they write things. And then something that we've kind of talked about is like reviewing technology. John, I love y'all's white papers. It has so much data in it that we love to dive into. So I look forward to seeing those every single year. And you've talked about kind of like reviewing your tech stack or your customer journey. One of those things is how well are your human agents actually communicating? And so another generative AI model that we've launched is conversation summaries. And so we have the AI go out, actually read the entire transcript, all the APIs that we hit, summarize that for a manager, and then also assign a sentiment score to that. And again, this is just the start of some of the things that we've got planned for the rest of the year. So subscribe to the podcast and listen in as I get to geek out about some ChatGPT stuff every once in a while.
I have to start listening because I geek out on this stuff too.
I think that's it. Mason, when you're talking, maybe one other thing kind of made me think about, technology is whoever you select, make sure they're interoperable and open, right?
100%.
You don't want to get focused in, so you only have to use one insurance or one call center or one payment processor or one chatbot. So making sure that it's open and different technologies from different vendors can communicate. I mean, I know that with our access control, we have a call center, but we interface with XPS and CallPotential. And I think that being open and being able to interface is a really important thing to look for from an owner-operator perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree, John. It's at the end of each one of our podcast episodes, like say it's about facility management systems or contact center. We talk about what to look for and questions to ask while you're making the purchase process. And one of the things that's a reoccurring theme, I want to have the team put some background music because I feel like I say it every single time, is around industry integrations. Make sure it integrates into your facility management system. Make sure that it understands how to pass over to the OpenTech call center, or pushing it over into XPS, et cetera. And so I think those things are extremely important as you're going out and looking, for solutions for your day-to-day business.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike Roberts is saying here, I'll put this up too. Open API is key. Could not echo that any louder, or as loud as I can to all the people in the back. Listen what Mike's saying. Open API is key. He's totally right.
OpenTech.
Yeah.
Got it when it was kind of the name, right?
There you go. No, and that's a great name for that reason. And if any audience, we have a couple more minutes. I'm going to go a couple minutes behind. If you guys have a few minutes, since we had that little bit of a technology blip, if you have to jump, please feel free, because I know everybody has busy schedules. But if anyone in the audience has any further questions for the teams that are here about their systems and how it can help, please ask those now. And if you're looking for something outside of the suite of products that these four, offer, reach out to the SBOA. We're heavily connected to all the vendors out there in the industry, as well as everyone on this call list. So we can all give you pretty good suggestions on some items to use. I'm going to go over a couple quick things. That white paper discussion that we are talking about with OpenTech with Christy Adams, that has been mentioned a few times, is actually scheduled for Thursday, April 20th. All of the upcoming events and upcoming free webinars from the SBOA are on the SBOA website under upcoming events. So please go register for all of those. They're completely free. The next one we have will be Thursday, March 30th. We will be talking all about setting up strategies for your maintenance, timelines, how you need to reorder your retail supplies, and more. So please come visit us for that one. If you've ever missed one of these, or if you ever want to go back and watch a self-storage unlocked the next day, meaning tomorrow on Friday, we always put these up on our YouTube channel, sometimes even as early as the same day. But go check our YouTube channel out. There's a ton of content out there just to help you become better operators. And I always forget to say this at the beginning of these sessions, but maybe Ian says it in his video. I can't remember. We were large operators at one point. We had 150 locations over 8 states. So we've been through all of this. We've seen a lot of stuff throughout the years. So we're a pretty good source for you. And then there's a couple more dates I just want to mention. March 21st and 22nd, which is next week. The Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky show is in Indianapolis. I will be there with Alana Ross from StorageAuctions.com and Melissa Stiles from Storage Asset Management. We have a session called the 8 Strategies You Should Consider for Your Marketing in 2023. If you're coming to that show, please come visit and say hi to us. And then the big boys coming up in April 11th to the 14th, we will be at the Inside Self-Storage World Expo in Las Vegas. Our booth number, I forget. Iris is here. She'll put it in the chat. But please come visit us. And I think everybody else going to be there at ISS?
I will be. Both.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. Uh-oh. Looks like Holly has some tech issues going on. See, we're talking about tech and we got tech issues going on, but it happens. And then after that, April 24th and 25th, I'm a board member for the Self-Storage Association of Michigan. We have regional owner summits on both of those days in different locations. So please visit Self-Storage Association of Michigan's website to see the details on those events. And then April 26th and 27th, it is the Missouri Annual Conference, and we will be there. So please stop by and see us. Jim Mooney and I have some sessions there that we'll be doing together. Anybody else have any upcoming events that I didn't mention that they'll be at?
I think you mentioned them all.
I think I mentioned them all. Barry Graff saying he'll be in Vegas, so hopefully we see you there. Well, again, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I know this was a ton of information. I'm so happy we got to share this with everyone. And again, if you have any further questions for any of our panelists, email those into us. We'll get them out to them. All of their contact information will be in the YouTube replay video. So if you want to learn more about XPS, Swivl, OpenTech, CallPotential, you'll be able to get in touch with these fantastic individuals that were here today. So thank you all again for joining us.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.